A rare scene we saw last week on our various smartphones whereby a lady assaulted a police officer. My name is Drake Onen. This week we're discussing assaulting police officers, impunity. And joining me to discuss this very intriguing and interesting conversation is a panel of interesting lady and gentlemen who will help us unpack the conversation and put perspective to the topic. So in no particular order, I'll just quickly let them introduce themselves, then we can start the conversation. I'll begin from my extreme right to my immediate right. Just quickly say hello and introduce themselves, then we get right into the conversation.
Thank you very much, Drake, once again. Good evening, viewers, fellow panelists, and the man hosting me, Drake. It is an honor to be here once again. The name is Kawere Thomas Mugwanya, fourth year student, Kyambogo University, Chemical Engineering and Processing, Minister of Finance and Planning, and I wish for a fruitful discussion.
Definitely. It's a pleasure having you once again on the show, and I'm looking forward to having a fruitful discussion as always. The only lady on the show, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Akankwasa Brenda. I'm a fourth year student at Makerere University, pursuing journalism and communication. I'm the 90th Guild Clerk to the 90th Guild House. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Looking forward to also having a very interesting conversation with you. Ismail.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, and panelists. My name is Basalirwa Ismail. I'm a third year law student. I serve as GRC for the School of Law. It is an interesting moment for me to be here and share views, comments, and learn and unlearn from the fellow panelists today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me just stick with you, Ismail. Understanding the context, we saw a lady assaulting a police officer. It's quite rare that we see civilians assaulting officers. It's oftentimes the vice versa. We see police officers, the ones, or persons in the forces, the ones assaulting civilians. But this time around, it is a civilian assaulting a police officer. Let's understand the problem. Is this a prevalent issue that we're facing in our communities today, or this is one among very few instances where we see such?
I would start by saying we are breeding a country and we are breeding people in societies, and it all zeroes down to leadership. When you look at, we've had several cases where military officers have assaulted traffic officers. We've had an incident of Makerere Chaligonza General assaulted a traffic officer in Seta. We've had rest in peace General Kech. We also assaulted one in Namgongo, along Namgongo Road. We have had officer called Paul Mukebezi, who was shot and he lost his leg. He was shot by military officers. Then the current incident of a civilian assaulting a traffic officer. These are cumulative scenes that we've seen, and it all zeroes down to leadership. Why? The rest of the cases that I've highlighted, most of these officers have gone scot-free, and it brings out that we are under a country where the rule of law is never forecasted when it comes to matters of criminal offenses. So prevailing and looking at what happened last week, this is a country we are breeding. These are the people that we have. These are the people that the leadership of this country has nurtured. This is a country that has emphasized a lot of impunity, basing on what I've said earlier. So I was not shocked when I saw that. I was not shocked, but again, I was disappointed, because if these are the people that we're having in this country that do not respect the rule of law, and I know she was charged, but again, she will go scot-free, because this is the country we have, the country that has fostered that a lot of things go uninvestigated, a lot of things are going on unjustified. Justice has failed. It has failed to most of those officers that I've said. So I'm not disappointed in what I saw.
Interesting. Your argument zeroes down to two things. First, you question the idea of leadership, and secondly, you say we are a country that does not uphold the rule of law, that even when we see such instances, there is no justice that is going to be served. The lady who assaulted the police officer will walk free, just like the police officers who have assaulted civilians are walking free today. Let me just get to you, Thomas, then I come to my sister here. Thomas, understanding the context, let us understand the motivation behind assaults generally. And why is it that we have this culture, culture in quotes, where we see police officers assaulting civilians, but now this time around, it's a civilian assaulting a police officer. What is the motivation behind? What is brewing among Ugandans that is causing this feeling of violence in them?
You see, are we so sure that she was a civilian? You see, in her statements, when I was watching it from a friend, I saw them, I think she said, do you know who I am? Why do you... I think the police officer accidentally touched her, but that didn't call for such a reaction. So she believes that who she is can accommodate what she did, and she can walk away freely. That means that she's part of that bubble that we always talk about, those that are above the law. Like my brother has said, there is a group, there is a bubble of people that for them they feel that they can do anything they want
and get away with it.
Get away with it.
That's the spirit of impunity that we're talking about
here.
That
is the Uganda we have here. We see people say very serious things and they just walk freely. And I am also not surprised, though I want to, for the first time I'm going to be, usually we talk about, I think most of the times I always talk about educating the person with a gun, either the army or the police. And this time around it's funny, but I'm going to thank the gentleman they slapped, because he exhibited what we call high emotion intelligence. He picked up his cape, put it back on, and walked away. If he had two choices. I know in his mind he was thinking, should I assault her back? But he decided to choose the more mature approach, walk away and leave her. And obviously the charging her, if what she said is right, then if she's as big as she claims, then she's going to walk away scotch-free. No one is going to touch her. And but really, we need to, for once in a while, and I want to really congratulate. He exhibited a high emotional intelligence, and because I don't know if it was me, if I stood there, even me, I think I would have two thoughts.
Interesting.
Because, I mean, I've not done anything. I've not assaulted you. I've just tapped on you. Listen to what I'm going to tell you. And if you're the one in wrong, please.
But Thomas, let's look at it from this way. Motivations behind assaults are oftentimes triggered by various sentimental issues. And the possibility that a traffic officer stops you is possibly you have committed a traffic offense. But in our country, even when you have not committed a traffic offense, you're oftentimes stopped for what people term as kitu kidogo. And that is the spirit. And that is the idea behind people going ahead to assault or even beat traffic officers, because honestly speaking, people are motivated by various reasons.
Yes, I understand what you're talking about, but if she felt like why she was stopped is something that was not genuine, then she would have at least, if the statement she made was right, then she would have called in and then said that this traffic officer is doing this, and I believe I'm not the only one that they're doing it to. Please check him out, because we have seen such incidences where people call when they have been stopped, if they have the big people in government, and you see things working out here.
All right, and that is exactly what we're talking about, the spirit of impunity, that you can easily get away with certain things just because you know certain people in power.
Exactly.
And that is the culture and spirit that is growing extensively and eating up our country. It's a cancer that is eating up this country quite fast. But let me engage Brenda. Brenda, we are for now on a micro level looking at particularly this particular incident, examining it and putting it at a broader picture. Just imagine that there is a young person out there watching possibly an aunt or their mom doing this to a police officer. This has a psychological impact to the community and to the society. That, you know what, if a traffic officer is against you, just beat them. And that alone, just the scene that we saw, and the possibility knowing that we have seen officers beating Ugandans and walking scotch-free, and right now we are seeing a lady beating a police officer and they want to charge her, doesn't then this create double standards?
Thank you so much. For me, in my own view, we could put this in a human view, in a way that police officers are known for some resentments. Some resentments can be they are fond of, okay, people know them as corrupt, people know them as people who abuse power, so even people are tired. So you find that you will find a person who will, we all have different egos when it comes to response to anger, when it comes to response on the way how you've approached me. If you look at the scenario of the lady who is in, should I call it custody? If we follow it up in that clip, that lady said, "Don't break my phone." You get, "Don't break my phone." Then that's when the slap came in. So we as human beings, we get angry. We as human beings, we forget that some things you can be accountable to them due to anger, due to the egos that you have as a person and the things that you perceive towards who police officers are. So this time round, it was a lady who assaulted the traffic police guy. This comes in after maybe the lady knew that she never had the documents. That's why she ran away. So I think this thing came out of egos. People get angry. So, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Ismail,
Yeah.
let's examine this now deeper from both lenses, the civilian perspective and from the perspective of the forces. We have seen instances, as you highlighted, officers of the law assaulting the civilians, terribly beating the civilians, which is actually against, torture is against the spirit of our constitution. But oftentimes than not, we have seen officers break that law and assault, but also torture civilians. In this instance here, we see a civilian doing the same. From what Brenda made mentions is she was possibly provoked, or she was provoked. But now let's understand this further. I will still go back to the question of double standards. We have seen the officers of the law tragically beating Ugandans and getting away with it. One scenario, a civilian, maybe due to various issues that they will let us know, slap a police officer and she's put behind bars. The double standards. How can we strike a balance?
I would say, one, when we look at how this country is going, I usually summarize this country and say it is a developing country, and it is a country under construction. So when you're in a country under construction, as a civilian person, you should know that there are times where the military people or the people under the law will go freely in the guise that we are a developing country. And also, it is well known that if we are to develop, we have to go through a certain cycle. So that cycle is where Uganda is at. we are at a situation where the rule of law is not going to be respected. Why? Because we were ushered into a government that came through a military coup, and when you base onto our history, this is a country that has never had an elected president. We've never had a president come through an election. So, meaning this country and where we are at from 86 to date, these are people that are not questionable, and they are not answerable to anyone. It is much evident that one time we've seen, for example, there was a scenario around 2005 when I think General Muhwezi questioned the then principal judge Ogola, asking him where were you when we were going to war. So it means there are people that will never value anything, and there are people that will go scot-free as a country in the guise that we are a developing country. The incidents I highlighted when we're beginning also fall into that. So believe me or not, currently we cannot strike a balance. Why? Because we are having people in leadership who are not answerable to anyone, and even when they attempt to be brought into the courts of law, you will hear that now the president has intervened in to strike a balance. You hear that it is going to zero down to Kalicho society, that's where we come from. They incline you to the society where you come from. Your traditional leader calls you to ask you to forgive the other one. But remember, the forgiveness itself does not make a lot of news like the offense itself. So even that is why I disagree with these people in the media. Why? When the incident of forgiveness comes out, it should be highlighted so that everyone knows that this person has accepted they've committed a crime. The forgiveness has been ushered. But otherwise, if we don't do all that, we are breeding a country that is smiling but never forgetting. You get never forgetting all the incidences, and we are risking. To me, I always say we are risking, or we are breeding, or we are drumming towards genocide in this country.
True, that's very true. But let's just quickly look at the issue of accountability, which police accountability, but generally the forces accountability, which I think at this point I would like to engage Thomas on that point. My brother here tries and examines it in a more deeper lens, and as he rightly put it, we are a smiling nation on the outside, and inside we are greatly grieving and bleeding, and that alone is room for outward violence at one point. And we saw that replicated over the week, last week from just that one video, that we are all smiley faces, but deep down we are frustrated, and those could be among the motivations for what we saw. But let us now take this to police accountability. The section of the police force, particularly traffic officers, that's a section that has been highlighted, or it signifies oftentimes than not. We know we have a very respectful force, but people look at traffic officers as a very corrupt unit. That even when you're stopped, the only way for you to get away with it is just give them something and get away with it. Now the question is, what measures are in place, first of all, to hold police officers, but generally the force, accountable, first for their actions, two for their misconduct, but three for the kinds of torture that they have also inflicted on Ugandans one way or the other?
You see, we have to go back to what my brother has just said, Ismail, of when the general asked the principal judge of, did you go to war with us? That is the root problem. Such a statement tells you that those that did not go to war, you don't have any share in the country that you're in. Those that went to war and fought, they're the ones that must benefit from what they fought for. But I mean, I saw people in America, Cold War fighting. I don't remember them having such statements, or they call them entitlements. After liberating, your job is done. Then let nature take its course. That is why we are still behind, because people with such mentality are the ones that are clinging on to power, and they're disrupting everything in Uganda. What unit do we have that is efficiently working on its own? Is the judicial system working on its own? Is the parliament working on it? Is the executive working on its own? Or they are controlled by a few people? Now, let's say I usually hear there were 47 that went to the bush. Are we still being controlled by the 47 that went to the bush? Then do we have the independence that we celebrate in October? Or we are also under now captive? The question you're asking, because it has its own root problems, in the sense that I was talking to a friend and he asked me a question. He told me there are things that when you look at how they colonized us, and he told me between 1900, because he said that the 19 of Uganda agreement is what marked the official colonization of Uganda. Told me, look at those first 62 years, how Uganda was progressing. Then look at the second 62 years, how Uganda was progressing. And then tell me, have we moved forward from the first 62 years in these 62 years, or we have moved way back than where the whites left us? And Uganda now is just, it looks peaceful and calm on the outside, but on the inside, it's like now if I had a grievance inside, you cannot know. If I come here and then you ask me, Thomas, how are you? And I say, I'm fine. But yet I know there is something that is killing me on the inside. One way or the other, that is how people start committing suicide. Like you said, the genocide anytime. Once the pain grows more and we keep it in, we are going to reach a point when we are too exhausted. Now, for police, who's going to hold them accountable? Who are they working for? Who's supposed to hold them accountable? You see, the judiciary is supposed to step in. This is where I believe if a citizen had any problem and went to the judiciary and said that I was assaulted, the police did that, the judiciary should step in and take actions into matter. But they can't, because it's not a functioning unit. That is the sad truth, and we must say the truth. Then when you look at police officers, I've traveled a bit and I have seen how things work. And traffic officers, I think, have, in the police force, they have been deprived of the things they're supposed to be entitled to, because these are the people that the reason as to why they go, the main reason as to why they are deployed on roads is to ensure that people follow the road manners,
road safety precautions and rules.
There is a manner as you are supposed to follow while driving a car. The police officer is supposed to check whether all of you are following.
An enforcer of the law.
Exactly. But usually now the main reason as to why they go is to get what to eat.
So that's a question that goes back to the government. Are they taking care of their forces?
See, whenever I have discussions with peers and other people, it pains me so much that we have to always go back to government. It seems like it is the root cause of everything that is happening. Whenever we have a discussion, we have to go back to the root cause. It is not the civilians that are the problem. It is the government that is the problem. And it is the one that is supposed to liberate these other. Yes, we have peace and security, but now we are looking for liberation. Where all entities, where journalists, as my comrades were saying, that no, in journalism they teach them that no story is worth your life. But then, that story can change a nation, can save the nation. But you see where people come and then they try to, not sure that they want to speak, but they are hiding in between. Now, a police officer will come, low income, salaries is way down to the standards. They have families, and they can
They're
get daily
grappling
bread.
with poor
Yeah.
housing.
Poor housing,
They,
them-
yeah, because I've seen, it's funny that even opposition MPs, they're the ones that are raising such issues. I always see the MP from Luero. He's always pleading with government to cater for police officers, with traffic officers included. Always, always. And these are the things now people need. If I can stop a car, they give me 10. I stop the other one, they give me 10. I stop the other one, they give me 20. In a day, I can walk away with, every day, I can walk away with 50, 80. Every day. That is good money at the end of the month. Then that means you're working. So, morals in the police, enforcing the law, and I mean, anyway, it is a very big problem that we need to
That we need to address.
to dissect, and then just, I mean, we need to just go back, sell the constructing material we have, and bring new construction material to construct the country again. A new beginning, a fresh start.
Is it possible anyway?
Well, like he said, the pressure is building on the inside.
Mm.
And trust me, Ugandans are going to get fed up. And that is the sad truth. People say change of power, but have you looked? It is not going to be a smooth transition. I always see people say smooth transition. Are you prepared for what is going to take place after someone else decides to, they declare someone, which is highly impossible. And then the person takes over power, and then are you ready for what will happen? Do you think you will continue in the smooth running of business like you've been doing? So we need to prepare ourselves mentally. And I know Ugandans are watching and they see everything, but sometimes we just decide to have peace and quiet because most Ugandans fear for their lives. Now imagine if such systems were in Kenya. You saw how they were vibrant. 1 million people on the streets, more than even 1 million. You saw the crowds. If Ugandans could do such the same thing, like I told you last time, if Ugandans could come, if we could have 3 million Ugandans on the roads, then the country has gone, because there are only around 500 soldiers, active and not active. If they decide to all come back, you cannot kill 3 million. You cannot even kill 1 million.
But the thing is, we all have different layers of suffering in this country. So it's very hard to, we don't have that common suffering anyway.
But that's the problem.
Yeah.
You see, now me, I am a student. I'm studying. I am going to finish my degree. I am not. I am from a humble background, but I managed to get everything on time. But I can still feel for other people that are not receiving the same facilities as I get. That is what people forget. Even though you're a beneficiary, what is wrong is wrong. I was seeing the law talk about that people are saying that he's attacking because he has some personal issues with the speaker. And then he said, no. Even though it was my boss doing the corrupt, I'll tell him, what is wrong is wrong, even though you're a beneficiary. Because I always hear that statement, people saying that because some people benefit from whatever is going on, then it is okay to let it move. No. We have to speak up, because I might be, we might, like how someone ever says, we might be this time round where who thought that UPC would clash the way it clashed, and it would only have dominance in one region of Uganda. We can wake up when NRM is only on the other side, and now there is a new party. Who thought that would ever come?
Anyway, Brenda, societal perspectives. Seeing a lady lift her hand and give a hot slap to a police officer raises eyebrows, but also raises various opinions. And right now I'm just interested in us understanding the public attitude towards this particular incident. It's very important to dissect and understand how the public perceive this information. So I'd just like you to help us understand how you think the public perceive assault on police officers, and are there differing opinions based on factors such as socioeconomic status, ethnicity, or political affiliation?
Who was this lady? This lady was the public relations officer to the NRM Secretariat. So maybe she thinks she has power. When you go to our cultural perspectives, of course it's a disrespect for a lady to slap a man in our culture perspectives. But when you come to the matter of...
That's a very huge...
Yes.
But it's
we have been brought up in an environment that is patriarchal.
Yeah.
Women are supposed to be so low. Men are supposed to be...
At a particular standard.
Yes, at a particular standard. So I think in a cultural perspective, it was not right. But then when it comes to the matter of power and who we are accountable for, it was right.
In your opinion?
In my opinion.
To slap them, the man.
It was. Do you know? Yes.
Sorry, not to slap the man, to slap the
police officer.
I know it was
yeah.
an abuse of the law.
Mm.
And because, as I said in the beginning,
Yeah.
we put this thing at the standard of humanity.
But also there is the standard of the law.
Yes, there is a standard of law, but humanity comes first.
But the
If
law
I come and provoke you,
prevails.
you will forget about the writings and the bills and the acts written in the constitutions.
Yeah.
You will first go by how you feel. In fact, it goes back to where we were brought up from.
So she was
The lady,
right to slap.
the mom came where the lady was, and the mom was so pissed.
Mm.
How would you do this? Yes. How would you do this? You get. But then, parents, when they produce us, they don't produce us with their hearts. They produce us with our own hearts. However much you will teach me how much I should be respectful or not, morality or the heart, the kind of ego that I was born with, comes first. You get. So when it comes to accountability, it questions us, who am I accountable for? Am I accountable for the government, for myself, or for my boss, or for the person in power? So I think
She was right.
she was right, surely. Because when you follow up the story from the beginning, the lady didn't slap the policeman right away.
Mm.
The man was trying to snatch away her phone. Those policemen are fond of even breaking the journalists' cameras.
Mm.
You get. I don't know what the lady was going to do with her phone, but she was trying to snatch it away. Then the lady was screaming, "Don't touch my phone."
Mm.
Then the police officer grabbed the number plate and went away. Of course, for them, they know that if at all they are charged, they won't be treated like the way how that woman was treated.
Mm.
For them, which is impunity, of course. For them, they know that they're above the law, and the way how the woman was treated wouldn't be the same way how the police officer would be treated. We saw these women during the march to Parliament. Very many women were held in a way that...
Inappropriately.
Really?
Mm.
And those people were not...
they were not charged. That's what
they
I'm
were
saying.
not charged.
So for your opinion
And the
is...
woman is charged.
She was right.
She was right.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to say that because you see,
that
if
thing.
if Drake, you brought me here on a show
Yeah.
when we were talking about the women going, the way they handled the women
Mm.
during the campaign to Parliament, I would tell you it's wrong.
Mm.
I would tell these people should be condemned. The police officers should be arrested. But here now, this is quite different.
Mm.
Yes, it is very different, and I think that if we go back to double standards, yes, there have been double standards, but we cannot allow this to slide because there have been double standards in the past. That is the problem I have with many Ugandans, because when we're talking about when someone was raising a motion last time about getting the commissioners, they said, why should you focus on this small money and then let the other big fish go away? If we continuously let things slide because they are small or because of their double standard somewhere, then we are not moving forward. We need to
Draw a line.
Let me comment in 1 minute.
Mm.
I would like to disagree with Brenda by saying in life we must move very cautiously, and there are reasons why we have these law-abiding officers, the traffic officers on the road, and by stopping you doesn't mean you've caused a problem or you've caused an offense. Try to listen in and onto why they are stopping you. So in this incident, as I've tried to do some small research about it, they stopped her and she kept on going. That means she did not abide by what was going on ground, because if a police officer tells you to stop, there is a reason why they are telling you that. And when you say the slapping was very okay, I'm very disappointed I'm very disappointed so much. Why? If those are the kind of people that we are having in this country, then we are doomed as a nation.
Then
It doesn't zero down to it has to come back to the root cause, the reason why you stopped. You stopped because there is a problem. And then when they ask you whether you have a driving permit and you say, I don't have it, what are you going to do? You get, remember that there's a spark of emotions here. Someone is exercising their cardinal role. And by the way, Ugandans should know that driving is a profession. And people are paid to drive. If you're not willing to abide with the level of professionalism in driving, get a driver. Same as the police officer. If you're not ready to go by the reason why you're on the road, then you're not fit for that job. So it is either way. But I cannot be here on a platform like this and I say that slapping was very okay. No, I cannot.
you can't, but it's
But
the same. It's you again who say that the country is bleeding.
But who is even qualified for it?
Anyway, guys, let's just quickly go for a break. The conversation, I know it's quite interesting. Let's just quickly go for a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back from that break. Just before we went into the break, we're having a very intriguing conversation and assessing but also dissecting double standards in our country today. But there were differing views. Brenda suggested the slapping is justified. We have opinions from Ismail and Thomas who are arguing that it's not justified. And that is where we left off for the break. Let me just now quickly start again with you, Ismail, as I get to Thomas. Just picking off from where the conversation ended in terms of societal perspectives and understanding the issue at hand. Brenda's argument is we need to first of all look at it from a humanitarian point of view. Yeah, but your argument, on the other hand, looks at it from a perspective of it's wrong. It's generally wrong, and these are different contexts. But what view does then this create in the society, whereby we see officers during peaceful demonstrations and protests, people without guns, people without any weapon, taking their fundamental right to express themselves on the streets, beaten, and others killed. How would you justify that?
Thank you very much. I will again say, and I'll start from where I I said earlier that this is a country under construction. This is a country that I refer to as a developing country. And also this is a country that has never had a president elected through an election. We've never changed government.
But we have. 1980.
We've never changed it. That president came in because he had more members of parliament, so they had to vote the president. So we've
But
never
it was
had.
rigged.
So we've
It
never.
was, those are allegations. But
That's why your current president went to war.
So
history is written by the victors.
So we've never had a directly elected president to come into power. The others we've had from when this constitution came, the elections are only ushering in the same person. So we've not had one. So picking it from there, I would say, in my view, when you see security personnel beating and attacking people who are on streets exercising their fundamental rights, I cry for myself. I cry for myself because I remember on the 23rd of March, I think, when the anti-corruption campaign was on, I saw how the ladies were arrested. I saw how the young men then were arrested. Some were my classmates, some were my friends, and some were people that I share a lot of views with. When I looked at that and I digested much into the offenses that were charged, it is laughable. It is laughable that you're brought to court at 6:30, yet normal court period is 5, and the state attorney strongly says that the reason why we should deny these people bail is because we are time barred. But remember, this state attorney has appeared before court at 6:30. So when you appear before 6:30 and say we are time barred, yet we agree that it is indeed time barred, but the court begins at 9 to 5. So when you bring a case at 6:30, then you claim that you're time barred, then it is disappointing because you're already late by bringing the case.
If I can even add something for you, judges were already there waiting.
Yeah, they were already waiting, and the cases were brought at 6:30. So this is a country where, like I said, it is zero down to leadership. The leaders of this country came in through a military coup, and they take this country as theirs. So their shareholders, 99%, and with the 1% is for the Ugandans that did not go to war with them. So it is hard for a country like this one to peacefully have an engagement, because even the security officers that we claim that beat people are following instructions. And remember, the sentiment and the order is that the order of your superior takes precedent. It takes precedent, and only when things go bad is when these officers are aligned. I feel sorry for these police officers and army officers who engage in violating the laws of this country in the guise of keeping the leadership of their commander-in-chief. It is disappointing and embarrassing that we're in a country like this one. What should we do? What should we do as us? We should, going forward, we should be a country that, I don't believe in reconciliation personally, because even when we reconcile, we've lost a lot of people that meant a lot to us through those kind of engagement where some of them are shot on streets, some of them are taken to prison and we never see them. There are a lot of things that come along the way. So me personally, as I conclude, I would say this country will only be right and set to the standards if we get rid of the class of 1986. If they're still around, then we are doomed country, because they're not ready to listen to anything, because they know the 4 years and 5 years they spent in war is worth celebrating for over 40 years. So they have been in power for 40 years. They have nurtured a cocoon of people that believe that their parents, their grandparents went to war. They are shareholders in this country. That is why we're having a lot of
impunity
and impunity in this country. So if we don't get rid of the class of 1986, then we are nowhere to go. Yes, I conclude.
That's a very strong statement to make. But it's an opinion that is also worth looking into. And from an objective point of view, it actually makes sense. But let's just quickly understand, Thomas, prevention strategies. Moving forward, we are seeing still a very brewing negative sentiments among the citizenry. Just one scenario depicts how very many Ugandans are possibly what they're going through in terms of frustration, in terms of understanding that the system is against them. Moving forward, what are those prevention strategies that maybe we can employ or make this country better to prevent the spirit of impunity that is taking this country down to progress?
Definitely. Class, as you said, class of 86 out.
How are you going to get rid of class of 86?
You see, let us first leave that at that. Let us look at other things now. If you know, I was thinking to myself and I was like, but if he really wanted to save this country, he would, in terms of fighting corruption, because all that is corruption. What you fight it because you know you are doing it for the people genuinely, but all these things that are happening keep the class of 86 in power. That is why they are continuously being overlooked. They keep them in power. These are the tools of manipulation, tools of keeping power to oneself. But if he really wanted, it is very easy because he knows, I know with the intelligence we have, it is very easy to pick up anyone at any time for doing the wrong. Then when you look at, I must applaud, they are very wise people. You see now when you form parliament and then you cut, I thought they cut constituents depending on the number of people in the particular area. But when you look at the place that has 11 million people, we have the least number of constituents compared to the north, the south, the north, the northwest, the west, the southwest. The number is quite alarming of constituents, but the number of people does not match with the number of MPs that come from those areas. Have you noticed?
Yeah, the report shows that we have most MPs from the southern part of this country.
Exactly.
Than anywhere in this country.
Precisely. Now that gives you a bigger number, a larger representation in parliament. Then that means that if anything, that's why some people say, what have the opposition people done? They can't do anything because once it is brought to vote.
But that's a conversation altogether. Even the opposition in this country are disjointed.
No, Auntie, I'm going to get to that. Now I am dissecting one problem. Now the other side, that's what as a country we are developing. Why do we need 500 M? If my sister here was telling me, I have been a Pan-African for all of my life. I've just discovered
all of your
myself,
short life.
But I discovered myself, I think, in my second year of university, because I realized no one sees. Because if right now I was, let me first leave that conversation, and we go back to, you see, when you have very many members from the ruling party, and we have seen that these people, I always say the spirit of Ugandans. Because, and I've been telling you, once people know that they are benefiting, to hell with others. That is the problem I have. Because they have done so much wrong, they don't think that if the system was set right, they would have a place in the system. So they have said, to hell with everyone, we go and benefit for God and my country, for God and my stomach. And that is a very big problem. In the long run, you find when people from opposition speak, the genuine ones from opposition, when they speak, it is going to be brought to the floor of parliament and there is going to be voting. So a person who has state resources, taxpayers' money, what, and then you bring something that is controversial to them to be passed, they will obviously give the balances from whatever they are getting to the opposition, to the NRM, and those that are pretending to be opposition and are not. And eventually they will be outnumbered. Now the problem, now that has to go back to the drawing board where we get a Senate. You know, I've been following and someone has been saying that these days we have been voting voters to go to parliament. And the real people that are supposed to be there, they're not the ones there. So do we need a Senate system now where we can now actually have a group of intelligent people that are worthy and are integral but in Uganda, do we have those people? I am not sure. Because when you trust the opposition members and you say, oh my God, this one, and then you hear, now they have crossed. So the problem is the spirit, and that is why some of us are pushing for things like Pan-Africanism to bring back that spirit of love for the country, so that people are now, we bring back those people that we used to come out of Makerere, the vibrant ones that knew what to fight for, the ones that His Excellency used to go to the war and make the system right. You know, initially you had, when you follow, I like following Honorable Namboze because she was, for her battle is between the 42-year gentleman that took power, when he said no, luxury, weddings, what, people who overstay in power, people who, that was a visionary that we needed. He showed us the future. That is why people followed him. But now he's contradicting him. That you're the younger him. And there's what I hear, the books he used to publish then, they collected all of them. They're now out of stock. The things that, even when you look at Sankara, I was seeing Tom Sankara of this republic here in the central. Yeah, he said his ministers, the chest ministers, were driving normal cars. He had refused IMF funding. He said, instead of giving me food, give me tractors. We make our own food. We become, because I mean, we have been, I told you, 60 years before independence, 60 years after independence. What is the difference? Are we going forward? Are we going backwards? You can't tell me you're building a country for 62 years. What are you building? We have seen countries in the Middle East. Amin was the one that we used to give, was it?
Singapore.
Yeah. Look at what, because when I saw that the gentleman that helped build Singapore, he said that that was his dream. Building Singapore was his dream. And look at where they are. If we had moved in that direction where people are not greedy, where people do not focus on clinging on to power, because in the long run, you're still going to leave the power. Me, I have a problem with everyone because even though they have failed to unite, and I believe now I'm going back to the drawing board. I am going to war itself by going back to bringing back and enforcing the spirit of Pan-Africanism in Ugandans, and I believe that is going to be a workable. It might take me time, like how Mugisha Muntu always says, building the grassroots. You cannot all just look at one person and say he's the one who's going to save us. Like now, most people do not agree with us still having all faith in the new president. When? Because you have not changed the mindset of the grassroots. You are just giving your hope in one person. If they go through and then they take us through the same thing. But if we build the grassroots all over Uganda and we all agree that we need what is right, not an answer from opposition, not an answer from government, but we stick on what is right, and we build, and then we push away the weeds. Because I still see youth, fellow me, that have neglected whatever is happening in this country. If you brought one of those youth to sit here, they will tell you nothing is going wrong in this country. It is perfect.
All right. Thank you. That's very true. We need a thorough deconstruction and reconstruction of this country. But let me just get to Brenda. Brenda, let's just understand what, addressing the issue, what can we do differently?
There is a lot to do. A lot.
Do you think slapping would still be justified?
Not really.
Yeah.
But again, we should know the person that we are accountable for, so that we serve them the way how they're supposed to be served. In a legal way, and in a way that we shall not all regret. In a way that we shall all not play a blame game, that this was supposed to do this was supposed to do this. Yeah.
True. I get you. My brother Ismail, justice and accountability. What can the judiciary do differently in seeing that we do away with this culture and spirit of impunity that is brewing?
I would say it is high time that everyone in the legal fraternity banged the table. Yeah, banged the table, because if we don't bang those tables, like the president of the Uganda Law Society is saying, then there's a lot to cry for in this country, because when you look at how things are unfolding in the judiciary, like you're saying, there's a lot to cry for. So it is high time that everyone took their own mandate to come out and say this is wrong and this is right. So if we keep on agreeing to being frustrated by the judiciary, I can say there are a lot of frustrations we've had. Justice Chisach, I think, she was frustrated by the own judiciary that she serves, and that is evident and known to everyone. So imagine if you're having a dissenting opinion, like she had a dissenting opinion, I think,
Presidential petition of 2021.
And she was haunted. Imagine to her level and caliber, she's haunted by the same judiciary she serves. And then imagine someone who is deep in the villages there trying to access justice. What happens to them? So it is a big cancer that has eaten this country. And if you don't bang those tables from where you are to the level of where implementation is at, then there's no way we are going to save this country. And I'm very glad and happy that the over 2,000 people came up and voted for Senior Counsel Isaac Semakade to be the president of the Uganda Law Society, because of his message, decolonization, and trying to create a gap on how the judiciary can serve to the best interest of every Ugandan. So it is time for everyone who is empowered and those that empower others to come out and bang the tables. And then we'll have a better country at stake.
Yeah, maybe your concluding remarks as well.
My concluding remarks as well, I would conclude by saying, like I began by saying, this is a country that has been held hostage by the class of 1986, and nothing will go so well because they have been here for more years. They have nurtured and breed a class of people that believe that this country is under their hands. So if we don't get rid of those people that believe that they can do anything and go scot-free, then we are having a country, and we are having a country at stake, and we are breeding more people who are desperate to anything in life, and we are creating more hatred in heart than we are uniting this country. And I do believe that if we continue the way this country is going on, then we are drumming towards the genocide, which is a very bad aspect of any society. At my age, and I've not seen much, but to those that have seen much, it is very disturbing to be a refugee anywhere in the world. So I don't wish to see us become refugees in neighboring countries because of the country that has been mismanaged by the class of 1986 and their friends and family and close allies. So it is going to be it is hurting, and I always pray to myself and to God to enable us have a peaceful transition when the time comes, because if we do not, I don't think I myself and the rest of Ugandans who are languishing in a lot of poverty are ready to be refugees in countries where they will be served 1,500 shillings for a meal for a day. It is hurting, and I conclude by saying we pray so hard that everyone plays a big role and part in liberating this country from the class of 1996. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brenda, concluding remarks, please.
In my concluding remarks, I would like to, should I call upon the law enforcers and policymakers to make sure that the laws that they put in the acts and the laws that they sign be put into practice so that we make sense of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Powerful. Thomas, concluding remarks.
Prayer is essential because it is God that decides everything. But then, like I said, I have a dream of rebuilding this country, and that's the journey I'm embarking on. Because everyone has been telling me, people have spoken, we come to talk and talk and talk, but then we go back and sleep. And for me, that's the journey I've started, and I need to win. I am going to embark on the journey and see that we rebuild the spirits of Ugandans, because you see, the hybrid of people that we are making now, the breed of people that we are making now is different from the breed of people that we used to make, because the Makerere, the Makerere of back then is not the same Makerere now. We have had this conversation where limits have come up. You don't find any prominent people these days that are going through the leadership structures. They are always constrained. They don't have power. We are serving power with no power. We just have now, you don't have to step on someone's foot here. You don't have to do this. When you do this, you will step on someone's foot, and you might never surface as a leader anywhere. That is the world we are in right now, the nation. But it is a pity that is where we are, because for Uganda there might be hope for us. A person can build this country in 15 years back to where it's supposed to be, and I hope that we don't wait another many years to do that. But I believe we shall get there, and I know that once the right person is there, they will know that the judiciary has to do its work, because in Uganda I believe we don't have that triangle where we have different arms of government having their own powers. It's not exercised, and that is the cause of the problem we are having. That is the major cause. But if we can get someone that can solve that problem, then we are good to go as a country. So keep on praying, keep on believing, and we shall get there.
All right. Thank you very much, Thomas, Brenda, and Ismail, for the wonderful show, and for those very interesting words of wisdom that you have shared here, but also given your insights to the viewers out there. To our viewers out there, thank you always for watching Civic Space TV, Center for Constitutional Governance. Thank you for making this possible. To the production crew, Paul and Brittany, thank you for making this possible. And to you, again, our esteemed viewers. See you next week, same time, same place. My name is Drake Onen. Bye-bye.